Coleman's Small Business Banker Weekly Radio Show with your host Bob Coleman is brought to you by GovGex.com, the online exchange for sellers of SBA and USDA loans, and PCFS 2000, the leading financial technology services vendor providing software solutions to both the SBA lending and credit union industries.
Today we are talking with Paul Elliot of QuietAuction.com, the broker and founder. He has over 35 years of experience in the commercial REO industry. Paul, you and I keep reading about the impending commercial real estate bubble, that this is the last thing that the banks need to work through. Tell us what your view is on that. And you're on the ground. You're working the ground on this. You're beating the bushes.
We sure are, and as you know, we sell property nationwide, and we've been doing it, for 35 years, and we've seen all the cycles, from Jimmy Carter on. But the truth is that this cycle is based on lack of jobs. This is exactly what happened. In fact, if you parallel the 1929 crash with the stock market, and you look at the loans that were made with the zero down loans that were being made in the housing industry, it is exactly the same scenario. You can't go wrong. Buy on margin. Everything's going to keep going up. We'll all be millionaires, and that's exactly what the climate was just before the crash of the housing market. So
Paul,
I think we're the same. It's the same market, but just instead of the stock market, it's in houses.
Yeah. Paul, you're nationwide. Commercial specialty, is that your specialty?
Been doing yes. It's really our specialty. We do residential houses and apartments and land and all that, but we really specialize in SBA commercial assets for the last 10 years. And I've enjoyed that. We've done an awful lot of work. And the thing is that, when we're talking about the economy, I think that, Bob, we are talking about an economy that will not be repaired. We will not cycle out of it until we can come up with a real program for jobs for people.
No, and so you and I are in complete agreement on that, and you're talking to the choir out there.
And so the commercial assets, as far as this being the end of the cycle, I think it's really, truly just getting into the cycle, because the commercial assets out there, including large strip malls and huge malls, are all going down.
Right.
It's really, and the values are really the key. I mean, when you talk about what rental values are for commercial properties and sale values, these things are plummeting, and they are continuing. So if the audience out there is a commercial asset management firm, or they have an REO portfolio, thing I would suggest they do is get that on the market as quickly as possible. Try and sell it right now for what you can get for it. Be aggressive about it, because tomorrow that value is not going to be there.
I've got to ask the question, how much more of a decrease percentage-wise do you see happening?
That's a good question. I would think that I would say that we're going to see the same as in the housing market, and that means we could be looking at a 50% decrease.
From today, from beginning of 2010?
I think that we could be looking at that kind of a market. Remember the cycle. Now, whether the banks weather the storm and are smart about it, there's an asset that I just looked at in Southern California for a bank that's going to sale, and they're into it about $100 a square foot. Right next door to this complex that I just did a BPO on, there's a 6,000 square foot, one half of a 12,000 square foot building that's available for lease. You know how much they want for that lease? 25 cents a square foot.
Yeah.
For the first 6 months. They're trying to get somebody just to come in. So that's what's going on. I mean, if the banks are smart, though, they would do some greatly reduced rates, keep the buildings full. But whether they've got that kind of ability, I'm not sure.
Right.
Especially because of the SBA guarantee. That's really one of the issues. Is the SBA, the government is really on the hook for all of these assets.
Paul, talk to me about quiet auction. Interesting concept of how you approach the market. Tell us, what is a quiet auction and how does it work?
What it does is it provides a property with a focal point marketing. In other words, we use directional signs street by street. We use mass emails, mass faxes. We go to the local MLSs. We use LoopNet, CoStar, use all of these things. But really what we do with quiet auction is we display the property, flags, banners, huge signs. We make a spectacle of it, really package the property up so that if you are a local buyer, and that's who we're trying to pull, the local large fish and small pond buyer, we want him to call on that asset to make the deal. And we have sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of properties exactly that way, where the property was on the market, for instance, Bob, was just a standard realtor that had his company's name on there, said available. That was it. When we got there and put up our flags, our banners, our signs, boom, those properties got sold to these guys who've been looking
Paul,
at the asset.
I'm a big fan of your marketing. I think we have a picture here of you actually put a handwritten sign out there to imply that, hey, guys, we want to move this quickly. Give us a call. Yeah,
in fact, the handwritten stuff is kind of makes it seem like it's a deal, you know, and that it's instant, and it is. And we've sold millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of assets exactly this way. And anywhere we work in the country, when you put a quiet auction property on the market, it gets immediate attention. People are calling and calling and calling about that asset. They've never seen anything like it. They want to know about it. And without that kind of buyer interest in a local market, you're never going to sell anything.
From Riverside, California, Paul Elliot, founder and broker of QuietAuction.com.
GovGex is the online platform banks are using to seamlessly sell their small business loans and buyers rely on to source loans for sale. We've more than 300 banks who turn to GovGex to more profitably access secondary markets, and right now we're investing heavily into enhancing GovGex.
PCFS 2000 is a firm that's very dedicated to this industry, both including the packaging, origination, and underwriting of SBA loans, as well as another platform to address the back office elements of SBA, which would include the accounting, reporting, and servicing of their SBA loan portfolio.